Welcome back to Bullyball A San Francisco 49ers podcast. Today, figured I'd jump on real quick and go over the draft picks that happened for the 49ers yesterday. You know, very controversial picks, some that a lot of people don't agree with, including myself and my co-host. We kind of talked about it already over the last few days or yesterday, really. So let's just jump into it. So the 49ers started the day with picks 99, 101, and 102. Ended up trading up to the 87th overall pick, trading away 102nd overall pick, 164th, and 222nd. They ended up using the 87th overall pick on Penn State safety Jair Brown. And, this pick I kind of wasn't expecting, but I'm not going to say it was a bad pick either, because Jair Brown is a baller, man. That dude flies around the field, makes hits. He's bringing the wood every time. Some of the things I say about him is he's a little bit too aggressive. He looks to make plays a little bit too often, and that can get him out of position. He could get burnt on double moves, things like that. One of the key things about him, too, he's very versatile. He can play in the box, he can play deep, play in the slot. Looking at his PFF over here, let me pull it up on the screen. He played in many positions throughout his college football career for the safeties. So as we see here, last year he had an overall grade of 78.7, which isn't too bad. 77 cover grade, which puts him in one of the higher percentiles. 66.5 run defense grade, which is kind of surprising because I felt like he was pretty good against the run and coming off the edge last year. 13.9% missed tackle rate puts him a little bit above the average. 3.4% forced to completion rate. That is what it is. But big thing here, this goes for his 77.0 coverage grade was 17 coverage stops, which is tied for fourth in all of college football among safeties. So that's really good. He had 4 interceptions. Over the last 2 seasons, he had 10 interceptions. So, he has great ball skills. Let's see here. 60 tackles, 11 missed tackles last year. And then, like I said, if you look at his snaps by alignment, so he had 345 snaps deep, 157 in the box, 8 at corner, 111 in the slot, and then 58 coming off the edge. So you can see he's very versatile, and where he's going to get his money is playing deep for the 49ers. The good thing is he's not going to have to start this year, obviously. We brought back Deshaun Gibson on a 1-year deal, so he's not going to have to start this year, which will be good. It'll give him time to develop, time to kind of see how the NFL works, that you're not going to be able to be overly aggressive and try to make all these plays because, in the league, you will pay for that. But, it says Brown has some of the best ball production in the class, securing 10 picks over the past 2 seasons. If you're drafting him, just know you're getting a risk taker on the back end. So like I said, he is a little bit overly aggressive. Another thing, his speed. Up here it says he ran a 4.65 but I think his actual official one was 4.58. So a little bit slower, kind of like Talanoa Hufanga. So that's going to be something to watch for because, like I just said, Talanoa Hufanga is not the fastest safety. And then obviously he's not going to be the fastest safety playing deep either. So there's going to be a little bit of cause for concern in that end. But, we'll see how it plays out because, as we know, John Lynch, former Hall of Fame safety, really liked him. And it seemed, from what I was hearing from Matt Mayoko, that the whole front office loved Jair Brown. They say he's a great leader, comes with great energy. So that's what you love to hear. Like it says here, where he wins mentality, an exciting brand of football. He wants to get involved and will do whatever it takes to make it happen. This says his role is the box. He's too unreliable to trust deep. His downhill play style fits in the box. But Talanoa Hufangas are all-pro box safety, strong safety. So Jair Brown's probably going to be looking to play deep. but he has that versatility to cover down this year for deep in the box, So that's going to be interesting. You could also play that third linebacker, probably a little bit undersized, but can still get in there because of the mentality that he plays with, how downhill he is. So that's what they say his role is. But realistically, next year he'll be playing, hopefully starting deep safety. Um, pursuit angles. And it says he's too unreliable to trust deep. I think that they're just saying like how risky he is. He's taking too many risks to trust deep to be that kind of last line of defense. But if you work with that over time, like I said, give him this year to develop it and kind of see that you can't do that in the NFL. I think it'll work out good. Looking at his analysis, I think the NFL. I'll pull that up here in a second, and it has his comparison a little bit different. But pros, wound up athlete who can get downhill in a hurry. He's a hitter, like I said. He comes with the wood. He's coming to make big hits. Tremendous ball production. 10 picks in 2 seasons as a starter. That's going to be huge for the 49ers. Deshaun Gibson was pretty good. He has pretty good ball skills, so it'll be good to kind of pass that along to Jair Brown. Then cons, risk taker, and then tendency to come in hot and blow by plays. That kind of those two are almost the same in the same bucket. Risk taker. So he's going to come down and try to make those plays. Sometimes he's going to come in too hot, and then angles of attack. So these are all three. You can kind of see all of his cons are all somewhat related. That he's a risk taker and he's trying to make these big plays, trying to make these big hits, and they end up biting him in the long run. But I feel like that's something that you can coach and you can develop over time to not do that because he has all the intangibles. He is a little bit slower, like I said, but besides that, he has that mentality. He has all the physical abilities. Now it's just getting that out of him. So overall, I think it's a great pick, especially that he's going to have time to develop this year. So he's not going to have to start this year. But I'm sure he'll get a lot of playing time, whether it's coverage if one of the safeties goes down. Or like if I said, he's kind of like that third safety out there that the 49ers defense likes to run. And yeah, this is also defensive coordinator Steve Wilks' first draft pick as well. So overall, I'd probably give this, I don't think you had to trade up for him necessarily. I think you probably could have got him at 99, but I would probably give him a B overall grade. And that's for Jair Brown, pick number 87. So moving on past that, we then took Jake Moody at pick 99, the kicker out of Michigan, which was very controversial because you're taking a kicker in the 3rd round, which is almost unheard of. We made him the highest drafted kicker since Roberto Aguayo in the 2nd round by the Bucs. I think it was in 2016. So this is very controversial. I know a lot of people are mad. I don't think they should have done it either because the value is just not there for a kicker. You wait until the 5th, 6th round and take the best kicker that's available. You don't take one in the 3rd round. Personally, that's my opinion on it. I get how important kickers are because we saw last year, the 49ers didn't have a kicker that could kick the ball deep out of the end zone on kickoffs. And that kind of bit him in the butt because the opposing offense would get the ball, 30, 35, 40-yard line, somewhere in there, and they have a lot less field to go to score or even get in field goal range. Go 10, 20 yards and you're in field goal range already. So having a kicker like Jake Moody that can kick the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs is going to be huge. And then also just having him there to take over Robbie Gould as a place kicker is going to be huge as well because – Robbie Gould is obviously not coming back. This completely closes that window down. So let's pull up Jake Moody's stats right here. So Jake Moody, last year he hit a season-long 59-yarder. It was in the Fiesta Bowl, I believe, which was pretty impressive. Extra points, he went 60 for 60, which is, you love to see that because you got to make those easy kicks. He went 29 for 35, which gave him an 82.9% field goal percentage. Moody wasn't even my first overall kicker because I think Christopher Dunn out of NC State, he was the most accurate kicker. He had a long of 52 as well. So, Moody's legs probably a little bit stronger, but I think Christopher Dunn, he was more accurate in my opinion, and that would have worked out better. Not saying that Jake Moody's not going to work out, but looking at the stats here, from 20 to 29 yards, went 9 for 10, 30 to 39 yards, 10 for 10, 40 to 49, 7 for 8, and then 50 plus, he got a little shaky, 3 for 7. So that's going to be a little bit concerning. But Robbie Gold wasn't really hitting too deep. Field goals, I think his long last year, 55 yards. So, you got to work on that. You got to get that accuracy down a little bit.
12 seconds to go.
50 plus, it is good. Not too bad. Like I said, he has that 59-yard long field goal, which is pretty good. Supposedly, Robbie Gold and Jake Moody have already been in contact too.
And all of the biggest dreams are still alive here in Ann Arbor.
He's been talking with Robbie Gold, kind of getting some guys.
A 2-point lead over Illinois with 9 seconds to go.
Really good team player about everything. Let's see. So Pro P said complete teams can draft kickers in third. Yeah, that's true because a team is only going to draft a kicker in the third if they believe they have a complete roster. If they feel they have a gaping need at one position, they're obviously not going to draft a kicker in the third, which makes sense. I just don't know if the value's there. Look what happened the last time somebody took a kicker this high. Roberto Aguayo, like I said, second-round pick, and he was like the GOAT of college football kickers, and that did not pan out whatsoever. So, kickers are kind of finicky. You never know what you're going to get. You picked up Zane Gonzalez earlier in this offseason. Not that he's going to win the battle or anything, but he's going to be there for competition. But you have a good point, complete teams can draft kickers in the third because, like I said, they feel like they have a complete roster.
Thank you.
I think you still have a gaping need, though. You need edge rushers. You need edge depth. You also need offensive linemen. You're going to need an offensive tackle to compete with. I don't think Jalen Moore is going to be that guy for you. You just need to bring in competition from McKivitz because you don't know what you're really getting. He started one game for Trent Williams maybe a couple of years ago. But still, you can't trust. You can't just trust him and thrust him in like that, especially with a quarterback with a little bit less experience in Brock Purdy or Trey Lance. So that's going to be something that's interesting, especially when you have, DeJuan Jones, the tackle out of Ohio State, still available. He's a bigger guy, kind of like a Trent Brown type, so not as athletic, but still you could have thrown him at right tackle maybe and kind of see what he did, especially since he was there. They were projecting him going first, early second round. So that would have been a great value pick. And I know the 49ers said, or Kyle Shannon or John Lynch, one of them said, the reason we took Jake Moody in the third round was because we didn't think he was going to be there at our next pick. But that's almost like a desperation pick to me. You don't want to get stuck in a position like that. I know he's your guy, but like I said, if you take the best available in the 5th, 6th round, because that's where the real value is going to be. So it's a tough pick. You know what I mean? I wish you could have gotten somebody who would have provided a little bit more impact. But at the same time, kickers are important. Like I said, we needed somebody who kicked the ball out of the end zone, which is good because Jake Moody can do that. He has a big leg. So the opposing offenses won't be getting the ball 30, 35, 40-yard line only with 10, 20 yards to go to get in field goal range, which is good for the Niners because our defense was definitely – there was times when that hurt them when they were getting bad field positioning. And then he has a big leg. Just hopes that he can get that 50-plus yard accuracy down a little bit because, he did miss a few field goals there. And then moving on to the last pick at pick 102. 49ers take tight end out of Bama, Cameron Ladson, which, once again, was another controversial pick. Personally, me and my co-host, we did not like this pick either. Like I said, this feels like a desperation pick to me because the Niners know that, tight ends were going fast. They were going early and often. A lot of the guys that they wanted probably, Brenton Strange, I think, from Penn State, He went early to the Jags, probably caught him off guard a little bit. But I think they were feeling a little forced, a little pressured to take a tight end, and they ended up selecting Cameron Ladson, who, looking at his grades, did not grade out as a good tight end last year. He's 6'4", 242, not the best athlete. I don't think he ran a 40, or if he did, it was not fast. I think I saw a 40 like a 4.86 or something pretty slow. So he's not a great athlete. His receiving grade 60.6 puts him below the average percentiles for college football last year. Another big thing was a 9.1% drop rate, which also puts him below the average percentiles for tight ends. So that's another cause of concern. It's not like he has sure hands, which is, I don't know. I don't know. This pick did not make sense to me. Definitely not a good pick, especially from the value perspective. He had 1.03 yards per route run, and then a 40% contested catch rate. And then another thing here, a 50.0 run block rate, which puts him well below the average percentiles. So I don't understand why you drafted this guy. What is he good at? Is he good at catching the ball? No, he drops it. Is he good at blocking? No. Can he stretch the field vertically from the tight end position? No. He's slow. He can't block. He doesn't have the best hands. I really understand it. Looking at his stats, he played 11 games. He had 30 receptions for 376 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then the year prior, he had 26 receptions, 409 yards, 8 touchdowns. But even looking at his grades from both years, he was never like a great tight end. So I just don't understand it. He also is not very good in yards after catch, because look here, yards after catch. Everybody knows the 49ers live and die by yards after catch. That's where they make their money, is yards after catch. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, running backs. They all get yards after catch or yards after first contact. He has 4.2 yards after catch, which is tied for 127th in all college football among tight ends. That's not among tight ends and receivers. That's among only tight ends with 25 targets. So I don't really know what you drafted this guy for. I know you want the second tight end, but what does he bring to the table to make you better? There's a tight end that was still on the board. He's still on the board now. Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion. He's super tall. He has a great build, and he ran super fast. At least that guy, if you draft him, sure, he might not have a lot of production in college, but at least he can stretch the field vertically from the tight end position. He's giving you something different. He at least has one area of his game that he's good at, to where this guy is just kind of like mid or average in every aspect of his game. So I don't really understand this pick. Obviously, I'm not a scout. I'm not a GM, not anything like that. I'm just a fan of the 49ers, just like the rest of us. So hopefully the scouts or GM, John Lynch, Kyle Shannon, hopefully they see something in him that I'm not or us fans aren't. But right now, I just don't really see it. Yeah, so that's about it. Questionable picks all around the board. Jair Brown, like I said, extremely strong safety. I like that pick, especially if you give him time to develop. NFL.com had his pro comparison to Ryan Clark, which was great safety, Super Bowl champ for the Steelers. So if he could turn out to be that'd be huge. I like his versatility. I like his mentality that it comes with. Seems like he's going to be a great leader for the team. Going to bring a lot of energy and just lead it with the back with him and Talanoa Hufanga. Probably not next year, but the year after. I think those two are going to be an extremely strong safety combination, and they'll lead the 49ers backfield for years to come, hopefully. Let's see here. So those are the 3 picks. Like I said, 87, you have Jair Brown. 99, you have Jake Moody. And then 102, Cameron Ladson. So a little questionable picks for sure. Obviously, as you can hear from me. Yeah, let's see some comments here that we got. Jedi says, I know it's ugly, but they drafted a starter. Yeah, it's ugly, but this dude kicks a decade. No one remembers the day. Yeah, very true. Like if he's at least a portion, 75%, if not more, of what Robbie Gould was for the Niners, then yeah, nobody's gonna care or remember what day or what pick we drafted him at. Which he has the potential because he is a great kicker, probably the best kicker in college football in the past 2 years. So he definitely has the potential to be that for the 49ers going forward. And then he says, yeah, that's the pick that pissed me off, the tight end. Yeah, like I said, that just felt like a desperation pick. Like, oh, shoot, we're running out of tight ends. Let's just pick somebody to fill in right there. And then they drafted him, which I like. Don't get me started. And then our dad says, yeah, they blew the pick. We still need an offensive lineman. Yeah, so there's still – the good thing is there's still a lot of good players on the board. We won't be up again for another – I think our first pick is 166 today. So we won't be up for another 60-some picks unless we trade up, which is a high possibility because the Niners don't need a lot of players. But there's still a lot of good players out there, like Nick Saldiveri out of Old Dominion. Super good tackle, super underrated. A lot of 49er fans love Nick Saldiveri, which is, yeah. And then you have Andre Carter. I'm not a huge fan of Andre Carter, the D end out of Army, just because, his production fell off this year in his regular season. And then he played in the Senior Bowl. And if you look up some Senior Bowl tape of Andre Carter, he was getting stonewalled by these tackles. So the level of competition, might be a problem for him. He does have a lot of the physical tools to be a great pass rusher, but, we have to see if he can put that together. Let's see. There's also some other good edge rushers. Two guys that me and my brother have been pounding the table for. Jose Ramirez, D end out of Eastern Michigan, super solid D end. That's where Max Crosby came from, the D end for the Raiders. I think he's going to be a great pass rusher in the NFL. 10 sacks in the past 2 years, so 20 sacks total in the past 2 years. Great D end. If the Niners can get him, that'd be huge. And then Viame Fehoko from San Jose State, another super good defensive end. That just gets after it, has a great motor, can get after the passer very well. So those are two guys that are still on the board that I like a lot. And then Braden Daniels, who is the tackle from Utah. A lot of people are projecting him as a guard, but I think he can play right tackle probably. He's another guy that we're super high on that's still on the board. Then let's see who else is still on the board. Going into this round, going into round 4, day 3. This is where the 49ers make their money. 5th-round picks, Dre Greenlaw, Elijah Mitchell, Talanoa Hufanga, just to name a couple off the top of the head. Those guys, this is where they made their money in the past few years. So let's see who else is on the board. Yeah, it's going to be extremely interesting. Let me know your guys' what overall grade would you give the 49ers' first 3 picks? So Jair Brown, I think I said I'd give him like a B for that pick. Jake Moody, just from a value perspective, I'd probably give like a C-. And then Cameron Lawson, that's like a D. Because like I said, he just doesn't really bring anything to the table for me. And then let's see here. So Jedi says cornerback should be a target. Yes, definitely. There are some great cornerbacks still on the board. One of the ones that pops off the top, probably going to go early in the 4th round, probably one of the first few picks. Kelly Ringo out of Georgia. Another good guy, a great prospect, in my opinion, that's still on the board. And I'm surprised he's still on the board at this point, is I don't even know how to say his name, but he's a defensive end out of Northwestern. He killed the combine. He destroyed the combine. Ran like a 4.4 40, which is insane for his size. He ran a 4.49 40 at that's the what does this say? He ran the fastest 40-yard dash of any player over 280 pounds since 2006. So he has the speed to bring it off the edge. Great. I would have loved for the 49ers to get him at pick 102 over Cameron Latu. Because, like I said, I still believe we need to get some DN depth. Somebody who can really just bring it. They have him. ESPN has him ranked 6th for DNs and 51 overall, and he's still on the board at this point. So that's something I'm extremely interested in. But again, he'll probably go off the board early in the 4th round, so I don't think we'll be able to get him now. Another guy, I kind of mentioned this dude earlier, DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. Huge tackle. His nickname's like Big Thanos or something like that. So his position rank is 8. His overall rank is 57. So that's a huge tackle for you. Could have filled that right tackle spot. He's 6'8", 374 pounds. Like I said, he's kind of similar to Trent Brown. Trent Brown was huge, but he was also pretty athletic. But once Kyle Shanahan stepped in, we traded him to the Patriots. So that's a guy that, probably doesn't fit the 49ers scheme. I think he could fill that gap at right tackle, to be honest with you. Their analysis of him says, as a run blocker, he has impressive short area quickness, and he does a good job of driving his legs on contact. So that's good for the 49ers if they wanted him. Natural knee bender, doesn't mirror well, but his frame makes it tough to get around him. He doesn't get much ground to pass protection. Which it sounds like a clone of Trent Brown, to be honest with you. So that's somebody who I'm interested in. But like I said, probably can go off early in the 4th round. Henry To'o, I think that's how you say his last name, not too sure. Inside linebacker out of Bama. That's another guy that the 49ers have been linked to a lot. Darius Rush, that's another underrated corner from South Carolina. He killed the Senior Bowl. I'd love to get a corner as well, like Jedi said. That's another guy to keep your eye on. And then, huge one, Blake Freeland, tackle, BYU. That is a big one, and, I'm surprised the Niners didn't take him. I would have took him 90 at pick 99 or 87. I would have been fine with them trading up for him. Extremely athletic tackle out of BYU, but he does, he's kind of Mike McGlinchey, kind of reminiscent of Mike McGlinchey. A little bit slimmer of build, so he can get overpowered at times. A little bit weaker in the pass rush, but very athletic, so he can get out in space. He's 6'8", 302, so like I said, a little bit slimmer. As Jedi says here, a lot of guys like Devin Bush, but later in the comments he says Darius Rush. So yeah, that's the corner out of South Carolina that a lot of people are big on. Could be a target for the Niners if they trade up. Scrolling down here, looking at some other guys. A guy that me and my brother really like a lot, Israel Abaconda, running back out of Pitt. Extremely fast running back, home run speed. Could be interesting if the Niners got him. Corey Trice, corner out of Purdue. He's like 6'3", 200 pounds. That's another good corner that we could pursue because, you can never have too much corner depth, especially now that Emmanuel Mosley's gone. Let's see. Jalen Duncan, offensive tackle out of Maryland. That's another one that a lot of people are big on. Nick Saldiveri. So as you can see, there's a lot of good players still on the board that the 49ers can take advantage of, Trade up a couple times because we don't need 9 players on the roster. Trade up a couple times, get a couple of these guys that have a lot of impact, that can provide impact week 1 of this season. Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, LaDainian Tomlinson's that's LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew. Corner out of TCU. He's a little bit smaller, but he's pretty good. Xavier Hutchinson, Brock Purdy's former wide receiver at Iowa State. That's another guy that the 49ers can target. Let's see. Jose Ramirez, like I said. KJ Henry, DN out of Clemson. I think the 49ers had him on a top 30 visit. I didn't like him at 99, 101, or 102, but I would like him around, 166, or if we traded up a little bit to get him, I wouldn't mind KJ Henry there. He's a pretty decent pass rusher, nothing too special, kind of wins with power, but he's good against the run as well, so I wouldn't mind him. Zach Kuntz, that's that tight end that I was telling you guys about, super big, super fast, 6'7", 255, which is pretty crazy size, and he ran an extremely fast 40, so Dorian Thompson Robinson. If the 49ers take him, they would have just blown my mind, because I would not understand taking a quarterback when you have Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, and then now you take Dorian Thompson Robinson. None of those guys are going to be able to make it on the practice squad either. So that would blow my mind. If they do end up taking him, I think that's going to be a cause for concern, that the 49ers know something and they're not telling the fans yet. Like something such as Brock Purdy might not be back this year. So yeah, I don't want Dorian Thompson Robinson, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, Darrell Luter Jr., that's the guy that the 49ers, cornerback at South Alabama. Niners have shown a lot of interest in him. Chase Brown, running back, super good. But yeah, there's a lot of good guys still on the board. A lot of guys that can bring impact. Hopefully the Niners can swing and get a couple of them. Will they? Probably not. As you can look, as John says, I can't believe they went for an unathletic tight end who was an okay blocker and has a high. Hey, you're not the only one, man. It makes no sense to me. That's like, I don't know what pick I like worse, the Jake Moody pick or that pick, because at least Jake Moody can bring you, he's going to bring some type of presence. He's going to be a starting kicker, obviously. He can kick the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs. At least he's going to have some impact. He's going to improve the team at least in one area. Cameron Latu, I don't see him providing much. He might be off the team next year. Hopefully he proves me wrong. Hopefully he's a beast like Kittle. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's interesting. Hopefully the Niners can get one of these high-impact guys that I mentioned. And, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Let's hope for some good luck. And like I said, that's why I put the thumbnail as that little kid. I think that's who was making the picks for the 49ers yesterday. I think he was the general manager. They were like, all right, here's the reins. You're going to run the draft for us because we feel like we have a complete roster. And that little kid made the picks for the Niners, because I just don't understand what happened yesterday. But, yeah, I'm going to stop complaining. I'm going to get off. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for all the interactions. Jedi, John, my parents, I appreciate it. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe. I think we're almost at 300 subscribers. I believe we're 7 away. So that'd be super cool if we can hit, soon. And then I'll probably hop on either probably Sunday, maybe Monday, and talk about the rest of the draft, give an overall grade, kind of wrap it up. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.